Namaste, welcome. Welcome. So for our practice of yin today, let's have available our cushions, either two cushions, a large pillow or a bolster, some blankets. We're going to be working on an expansive theme rooted in the kind of working with the heart energy. So we're really going to be expanding through the heart. We have a full moon coming up on next week. It's the full moon, and it will be a super moon because it will be very close to the earth in terms of its trajectory. It's known also as the flower moon, and it's going to also have the first eclipse of the year. So there's going to be a lunar eclipse. So there's a lot going on today. Not today, on Wednesday, there'll be the full moon in Sagittarius. That's known as the flower moon. It will be a super moon because of the trajectory. So it's going to appear bigger and brighter. And it's going to appear red because the Earth will be directly between the sun and the moon, which means the shadow cast by the Earth will also invite in an eclipse, and it will have the red color to it as the moon passes through the Earth's darkest point of the darkest shadow. So the moon will, as it moves through that shadow, it will get darker and darker and look like a rusty red. It's also known as the blood moon. So using that energy of Sagittarius, which is connected with the element of fire, but also this trajectory of the moon, this super moon, we're going to draw on the expansiveness. So when we're drawing on the fire element, we're going to be working with the heart meridians. And when we're drawing with upon the sort of expansive space aspect, that sense of openness, will be drawing on the sort of universal concept of space. Let's come into our first mudra. We'll have a mudra today, and we'll come into Haridya Mudra. So cross your wrists and interlace your ring, little finger, ring, little finger with the opposite finger, backs of hands together, index, and then bring your thumb to touch the middle fingers. Bring your hands to your heart. This is fearless heart mudra, via Haridya Mudra. So cross your wrists, backs of hands together, interlace little fingers, ring fingers, skip the middle, interlace index, and then bring middle and thumbs together in front of your heart. Fearless heart mudra. So as the moon passes through the darkest part of the earth's shadow, the umbra, when it will appear red, this will help us to draw upon the light, the flame at the heart, the root of the heart. Closing your eyes, let's sit here for a moment in easy pose. Mantra for today is going to be Aham Brahmasmi. I am whole. I am complete. Aham Brahmasmi. 3 times, and then let's open by chanting Om 3 times, bringing to mind the expansiveness of a supermoon. Inhale fully. Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi. Om. 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 Opening your eyes, releasing your mudra. You may want to stretch your fingers a little bit open or a little bit wider. Let's bring the left hand to the heart and the right hand on top. And bring our awareness to our energy source at the heart here, harnessing the power of the heart. This will help us to move through this period of transformation, often indicated by the blood moon in eclipse. This will help us to realign onto a new path. So perhaps there might be some chaotic energy or very excitable high energy present, as the moon and the sun are in direct opposite places of one another. So this changeable and mutable energy may well be present within. So let's bring into sharp focus these opposing forces of energy and help reset our emotional field so it is calmer. It experiences more ease. Take a moment here. We're going to fold forward in a seated forward fold. So bringing your fingers into these sort of tiger claws. Walk your hands in front of you as far as they can reach, keeping your hands higher up on the finger pads. And perhaps you take your hands quite wide, so not necessarily parallel with the shoulders, but slightly out, so you create a V shape, this expansive shape. Thinking about here, the moon, the sun and the earth in between, and how when the light of the sun shines, it will encase this V shadow that rises, is created by the earth upon the moon's surface. So even within, when we look within, we reflect on all that is internal to us, that is personal or private to us. We are encased by the light of the universe. We are surrounded by the light of the universe. Breathe into the back body here. We'll be here for 3 more breaths. Breathe into the back of the heart. Inhale, draw your navel towards your spine, lift your gaze, and walk your hands back towards your body. Take a moment here. And now let's reach our hands behind us. Again, let's stay up high on our fingers. And this time, let's bring the little fingers towards each other so they may connect. Draw the shoulder blades together, open across the front of the heart space. So the full illumination now. So moving from shadow into light. So moving from that internal, private place. And finding our way by being guided by the flames or the fire represented by the sun as it reflects on the moon's surface. And if we should see the moon, it will be quite low on the horizon, and it's unlikely that we in the UK will see the eclipse. But visualizing a red moon. Breathing into the heart space here. 3 more breaths here. And then let's gradually walk our hands around. And you might want to wiggle your fingers here a little bit to release them. So this time we're going to reach behind again and interlace your fingers, or take hold of opposite wrists, or take hold of elbows. Whatever feels manageable here in terms of your reach. Draw the hands down or draw the elbows closer together. Tilt the head back slightly to look up. And then as you exhale, leading with the heart, let's fold forward here. Now, you may come as far forward as you want. An option here is to have your large pillows or bolsters in front of you so that when you fold forward, you come to rest on your pillows or your bolster. So choose where you wish to be here. Again, we're only going to be here for a few moments. This is just as we ease our way into our yin practice. Aham Brahmasmi, I am whole, even the parts that are not visible. The parts that may be slightly out of focus, that this supermoon, this blood moon will bring into focus, into sharper focus. One more breath here. Inhale, lift your heart to rise up and release your arms. Take a moment here. We're going to move into shoelace legs here. And we're going to do a lateral crescent lunge with the shoelace legs. So let's extend the left leg long and cross the right knee over the left knee. So this is half shoelace. You can stay here, or you can bring that left heel towards the right hip. Yogi's choice here. Yogin's choice wherever you are. Let's place the left hand on the earth and reach up and over with the right arm. Breathe into the side body here. So here in this crescent shape. Notice how there's more expansion and space on one side. And perhaps contraction and shadow on the other side. Yet even in this shape that's not balanced, we are whole, we are complete. One more breath here, over to the left, reaching through the fingertips, and then inhale through center, slowly moving here to bring the right hand to the earth and reach up and over with the left arm. Breathing deeply. So as we move into the full moon, the supermoon, there's going to be a super surge of power. This is a alchemical opportunity to resolve conflict where it arises. This is a turning point to reduce tension in relationships. One more breath here, an opportunity to reset, discover a new trajectory. Let's extend that left leg if it's folded in and uncross the right knee, moving directly into Dragonfly Pose. So legs are going to open it to this expansive shape in a V shape here. Now, options here are to place cushions underneath the knees, So this is an option here. It gives you a little bit of extra support. And so some of us may have more space, some of us may have less space. You can also sit a little bit lifted on a cushion or a folded blanket. And that will shift some of the tension that we experience in the hips here, because it will help us to tilt the pelvic bowl slightly. So settle yourself into the expansiveness that you wish to find here in Dragonfly. Lifting your crown. So open out our hands and then bring the right hand to the earth and over to the left, over to the right. Yeah, left hand over to the right. Just for a moment here. Again, thinking about how we move in opposite ways. And even as we pull apart, opposing forces also draw together over to the other side. Inhale back to center. Now your option again is to fold forward or reach as far forward as you want. So you might want to create a little bridge, little sort of scaffold, your blocks, so you can fold forward onto your bolster or pillows. So when you're ready, lengthen first and then exhale to hinge forward. Your hands can rest on your legs or on the earth. You can take hold of your big toes. Rest your eyebrows center onto your pillow or folded blanket. So create a construction. Scaffold your yin practice with the props that you need. So one of the reasons why I call this practice rest and reset yin is that I draw in restorative elements, yet maintain some of the challenge so that we are supported in yin. Yin practice can often be very challenging without props, and often means that we can't find the space or the stability that we need in yin. So drawing on props we can find in our home will help us to access space, to discover and find space into which we can expand and surrender. We'll be here for another 2 minutes. So find softness where you can. Feel the fire. Allow it to illuminate where there may be tension or resistance. And then be guided by that in order to make small adjustments or changes. Perhaps you bend more deeply into your knees. Perhaps you rise up a little bit so that you're not folded as far forward. Perhaps you come up even more. Aham Brahmasmi, this oppositional place of light and dark, of illumination and shadow. Yet even within that, we are whole, we are complete. and accepting that wholeness, accepting that completion. 3 more breaths here. And surrender with each breath, with each exhale. Release all hands from wherever they're resting. Slide back up, coming to your seat. Removing your cushions from underneath you. And we're going to move into shoelace on the opposite side. Danny, how's the sound? Danny, how's the sound? Thank you. So let's cross the left knee over the right knee. You have the option of folding in the right heel. So coming into your shoelace variation. Let me turn around so I can see. So we're going to go from side to side first. So let's place the left hand on the earth and go up and over to the left with the right arm. And bring your awareness to where you feel expansion and contraction. Where's the oppositional forces here in your body? Inhale through center over to the other side. Back to center. Take a moment here. And then let's release our legs long, moving into caterpillar pose. Janu Sirsasana, forward fold. So again, you have the option of having no props, reaching and folding forward towards your feet. Or you can place bolster or pillow or cushions underneath your knees. That when you fold forward, you can create a bit more length with your spine. So yogi's choice here, with or without support underneath the knees. We'll be here for 3 minutes. So adjust yourself as and when you need. You might find more space gradually rather than in one complete movement. So you come to your edge, that point of resistance, and pause there for a while. Test the space that you have in your practice here. That gradually I will find a little bit more space. Aham Brahmasmi. Where is the potential hidden talents or skills or knowledge? So most of the work happens below the surface where we can't see it. Our creativity, the deepest parts of us that only those we choose get to see, get to experience. Those that we trust and love or are in kinship with. Three more breaths here. And then inhaling with the tall spine. Engage your core, walk your hands back towards your body, coming up slowly, supporting your lower back as you do. Take a moment here. And let's swing our legs round beside our hip. We're coming into a heart opener, Ustrasana, camel pose. So sitting on your shins, perhaps folding a blanket and placing it underneath your ankles or underneath your knees, wherever you feel like you might need some padding between you and the earth. And perhaps you might need a block, some blocks or a bolster behind you so that when you come to rest your hands, they are supported. Inhale, rise up on your knees. You might want to tuck your toes or keep them untucked. Let's start by supporting our lower back and placing our heels on the lower back here. Draw your shoulder blades together, lift your gaze, lift your chin slightly. Keep drawing your shoulder blades together, broadening across the collarbone so your shoulders drawing apart. Imagine that your throat, the sides of your throat are reaching back. The tops of your ears are slightly reaching back, very gently being drawn back. And then let's reach towards one heel or reach towards our bolster. You even place your bolster on your heels here. So that's another option here for you. So that you don't have so far to reach. Experiment, see what you wish to do here. And then perhaps you reach back with the other hand. And keep supporting your lower back with one hand, yogi's choice. If you're using blocks, have them alongside your feet so that your fingertips are resting on your blocks. Draw your shoulder blades together. Lengthen through the front of your body, especially along the midline. Lengthen through your sternum. Part the tops of your shoulders away so that you're broadening across the collarbone. 3 more breaths here. If you have one arm, let's alternate the arm actually and give yourself some time to balance. Here in this expansive pose, imagine that you are the earth herself, the sun ahead of you, blazing ball of fire. The moon is behind you. casting your shadow, moving into the cool, dark aspect of you. Fire and the cool, the heat, the warmth, the cold and the coolness, the light, the dark, the bright and bold, the gently muted or shadowed. These opposing energies. When you are ready and you've had sufficient time to balance by reaching back with each arm in turn. When you rise up, support your lower back first and then melt your tailbone, your sit bones back towards the heel, come to the earth in child's pose. Balasana. Have your arms in a V shape. Perhaps your knees are wide as your mat as well. Eyebrow center resting on a pillow or a cushion or a blanket. So I invite you either to have your traditional Balasana with your knees closer together or knees as wide as the mat. See how much space you want to create. Do you want to create contraction or expansion here? Which opposing energy, which opposing relationship do you want to create with your body? Do you want to increase the intensity, the potency, or do you want to grow and move into the expansion? Do you want to move towards the brightness, the boldness? Walk your left arm over to the left, followed by your right hand, and then take hold of your left wrist with your right hand so that you come into a lateral twist over to the left here. So your right hand is resting on your left. Coming into this lateral movement here. Walk your hands through center, all the way over to the right. And this time cross your left hand on your right wrist. Excuse me. One more breath here in the lateral stretch over to the right side. Walk your hands back through middle. We're going to move directly into melting heart pose. So your variation of melting heart. Reach your arms forward. Come up onto your knees. Hips are aligned with your knees for the moment. And then either find where you want to be so you can take your arms wide and melt your heart closer to the earth. You can stay slightly higher up. You could also bring a bolster or a pillow so that when you melt your heart down, it's resting on a bolster or a pillow. Remember, you can stack this up so it's as high as you would like it. Both arms stretching out. See how this feels. If you experience tightness and tension in your shoulders, rise up a little bit. You don't have to move so close to the earth. You can create some space between your heart and the earth, depending on how you're experiencing this in your upper body, particularly your shoulders. So you can have your heart resting on something. You can have your heart resting on the earth, depending on how it's experienced in your shoulders. Let's take our arms out in a V here. So almost like when you shine a torch and you see the light that emanates from the torch. This is the way that the light emanates from the sun with the earth between it and the moon. So the moon passes through the shadow, the darkest part of the earth's shadow, umbra. And as it moves through, it gets darker and darker. It turns into a rusty, blood red color, the color of fire. This is said to be an opportunity to realign, to reset things that are revealed or illuminated, especially those parts of us that we perhaps haven't welcomed or embraced or acknowledged, or perhaps we're too shy or humble to celebrate and shout out loud about. So that your potency, your intensity can expand and open more fully. One more breath here in melting heart. Then lift your gaze and walk your hands back towards you. We're going to move into dragon pose. So we'll take our right foot to the outside of the right hand here. Come into dragon here. So we'll come into this high dragon here. Keep that left knee on the earth. If you wish, you can always lift that left knee. Yogi's choice about where you want to be. We're going to come into a couple of variations of dragon today. So pace yourself. Find your edge, that point of resistance, as intense as you want this experience to be. Does it allow you to fully experience the intensity, or does the intensity push you into a place of discomfort, unease? Does it bring up this feeling of conflict, of you desiring something and your body resisting and saying no? We're trying to move into a space of expansiveness. So it could be moving back from our edge. We're going to move into what's called wandering dragon. So let's walk our hands over to the left. That left knee can stay on the earth or be lifted, but walk your hands over to the left and create a V shape. So you have much space. That left knee is lifted or on the earth. I've walked over in an arc away from my right foot over to the left. My fingers are spread wide, as if they are flames, creating this V shape again with your arms. focusing on the experience you wish to have here. We're going to work with this theme over this yin class and the next yin class. These two yin classes that are the bookends of the full moon we're going into and coming out of, so that we are prepared to move into the fullness of this moon, the super moon. Three more breaths here in this wandering dragon variation. If your left knee is lifted, bring it back to the earth and walk your hands back through center here. What I'm going to invite you to do here is to come into twisted dragon. So this left hand can stay on the earth, or you can come onto your left forearm onto the earth, or you can bring your forearm onto some support. And then begin to take your right hand and work it across your collarbones, your heart space. And then you open your heart up towards the sky to the right. This right hand can come onto the right inside of the right knee, or you can reach behind towards your left foot. So for me, that is not available for me to connect with that right foot, so I can just reach back. My main purpose here is to open my heart up towards the sky so that I'm in a twist. So what's happening with that left leg is an added bonus. Or I can maintain my comfortable edge. We're not here for long. One more here. Let's bring that right arm over in an arc. Lift off the left forearm if we're on the forearm. And take our sit bones back so that we come into half splits here. Or Ardha Hanumanasana. Again, you can bring that right hand to the inside here if you wish, for a little bit of extra support. And then let's bring this right knee back. Take a moment here, and we're going to step forward with the left foot to come into dragon here. Again, that right knee. That right knee can stay, or it can be lifted. Your hands can be directly on the earth or supported by a bolster. So you can place your hands on a bolster. So you're very high here in your dragon. So here we're really working with the potency of fire represented by the full moon in Sagittarius, and this rusty red fiery color that the moon will move into. This is a moon of abundance. With this abundance, there may be some chaotic energy that's pulling us into opposing directions. So we want to create space so that we can move in opposite directions and then come back and still maintain our sense of wholeness, to know that we don't become fragmented when we change, when we are mutable, when we explore the different aspects of ourselves. Let's come into Wandering Dragon. So you can bring that right knee to the earth and walk your hands over to the right, creating a V shape here. And if you wish, you can lift your right knee, yogi's choice. Breathe into the places where you experience tension, resistance. We started with our fearless heart mudra by Haridya, so that we can explore all the different places in our body. Try something. If that doesn't work for us, we can change path. We can realign. We can reset our direction or our experience or our pose or our emotions. One more breath here in the Wandering Dragon variation. And then lowering that right knee if it's lifted. With the left hand, keeping the right hand on the earth, trace a line across the heart so that you can spiral your heart up towards the sky, up towards the moon. And here you can either reach back towards that left foot, or you can place it on the inside of your left knee. You can stay on your right hand, or you can be on your forearm. What we want to experience is the opening across the heart. If you want, you can reach for that foot if it's available to you. So today's Yin class we've been moving a little bit more than we usually do. And this is so that we can play with these opposing forces of movement and stillness, of cold and fire, of heat, of heaviness and rootedness and lightness. So think about how when we expand, we move from the center out. We move from, when we contract, from the periphery in. Three more breaths here in your twisted dragon. And when you're ready, let's release that foot to the earth if it's lifted. Rise up onto your right hand and walk your hands back towards your body. Take your sit bones slightly back towards the heel and extend through that left leg. Hands can be on either side or on the inside of that left leg. Just to release that foot. So dorsiflex the foot and toes towards you. And then let's release that leg. We're going to move into angel wings here. So I do invite you to spread out your blanket on the mat so that you can create some support. You really want your blanket up towards where you're going to be lying on your upper body. So let's come onto the earth, onto our abdomens. And we're going to move. So open wing is it's almost like a pec stretch. So this is where you will need to pace yourself. So have your right arm at a sort of a 45-degree angle away from you. Or you can have arm in. Let's do it this way. I'll turn around so you can see me when I'm doing that arm, which would be most helpful. The right arm, have it slightly lifted. So the hand is above your head at an angle away from your body. You can have a bend in your elbow, or you can have your arm out directly. Here we're going to roll over onto the right hip. The left hand is going to act like a scaffold. So I'm going to place my left hand on the earth, bend into my elbow, and create a right angle with my elbow between my forearm and my upper arm. This is my scaffold. I can extend my legs straight. So I'm lying on the right hip here, or I can bend into my knees. This might be as far as I want to go with my angel wing. So stay here for a moment and just explore the sensations that are arising here. We're opening up the heart to expand here. So your right hand is behind you or slightly above on your head. You're lying on your right hip. Your left arm is acting like a scaffold. Your legs can be bent at the knee, or they can be extended long. Rest your right ear on the earth. And once you start creating more space in the shoulder, and see what the sensation is in that arm bone socket with the shoulder, you can begin to roll even more onto that right hip. You also have the option of coming onto your left foot by bending into your knee. The intensity will be experienced here in your right shoulder. This left hand can stay as a scaffold, or you can reach behind you and perhaps reach for your right hand or wrist. Rest your head on the earth. If you wish to place a folded blanket, you can do that. So your head is resting on something. This is really intense, this pose. It's really intense because you will feel it on the inside of your right shoulder, the front side, the top of your shoulder. You will feel it in your shoulder blade, because we don't really open our arms out in wings like this very often, and certainly not with our body weight acting as a sort of balance for it. So see how it feels. We're not going to be here for very long. Another couple of breaths. Remember, you can, if you have your knees bent and your left hand is scaffolding you here, and that right arm is slightly more lifted behind you, so it's up as a diagonal away from your body rather than parallel out, then it will feel less intense. One more breath here, and then we're going to roll slowly onto our abdomen. And then bend into that right elbow so you can bring that right arm back, right hand alongside your body. Now we're going to move over to the left. So take your left arm out, parallel or slightly up, a diagonal. Have a bend in that elbow. You can have that arm direct straight. With your right hand acting as a scaffold, palms pressed into the earth, to claw your hands into the earth, elbows at a right angle, roll onto your left hip. You can bend into your knees, and you may stay here. You may choose to straighten out the legs. And so you roll even more onto your left hip. Right hand continues to act as a scaffold. You might come up onto your fingertips. And you can also reach behind you. You can bring the right foot onto the earth behind you by bending into your knee. This will really intensify. You might be able to connect your hands together, or you may simply reach behind with your right hand. Yogi's choice here. Your intense experience here will depend very much on the story of your shoulders. So again, we're not going to be here for long, 3 more breaths. And then as you roll back, bend into your knees if they're extended long, so that your knees are stacked on the earth. And as you roll onto your abdomen, use your right hand to continue to support your body and move your left arm in gradually alongside you. And you can take your arms alongside you for a moment, or you can just roll round straight into your back. Take a breath here. And I really invite you for your Shavasana today, when you have your blankets and eye pillows and everything that you need. Take your arms and legs out wide so you look like a pentacle. So you look like a star here. Arms and legs wide, arms wide. Covering yourself with layers, blanket. And this, having your arms out like this, is such a release for your shoulders. Have your palms softly, fingers softly curled, palms up, ankles turned out, toes relaxed. The heaviest part of you will be your hips and pelvis, your anchor here. So here, even though we may be expanded out through our arms and legs in different directions, our core is our anchor, is our solid place to which we can gather in again. Return to this. So that just like the earth is the point between the sun and the moon, home for us is the place that we can find our center, where when we reset or align, even when we've gone on a different trajectory, we can group in to this place of center, of balance, of where these opposing forces can meet. I invite you to stay here in your Shavasana for at least 5 minutes. So make yourself super comfortable for this super moon. And when you rise up, move slowly, rubbing your hands together to create some warmth in your hands. And then place your palms over your closed eyes before you open the eyes and close your practice with Om Shanti 3 times. So always completing your practice by chanting a closing mantra. You can choose one in your own language, or you can choose Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti for peace. Thank you, Dhanyavad. Rest in harmony here.